Hi, good morning everyone. So some of you guys are new to my channel, so maybe some of you guys kind of forgot, but I want to talk to you today, right now, about, I guess, my journey to van life and kind of back again to van life. I also don't like to look at the camera a lot because I'm doing this on my phone and I notice there's like a lag a little bit. It's weird, but then when I go back to play it, it's in normal speed. So I may not look at the camera a lot because it distracts me about there being a lag a little bit. So anyways, how I got to van life and kind of reasons why. So I've been a nomad. Maybe we say van life, maybe say nomad, almost the same thing in a way. So I started out a little over 5 years ago, okay? And as of February 28th, it became the 5th year. So I'm a little over, this being June, a little over 5 years. And I remember it being February 28th. I moved out of my apartment. I was living in an apartment with, originally it was one roommate, then his girlfriend moved in, so it was like 3 of us in a tiny little apartment. There's 2 bedrooms, 6 little dogs, and I had wanted to buy a tiny home for a while, and looking into that, living in California, doing the work that I do, I'm like, I can't really get a tiny home. And being a single person and all this other stuff, not quite making enough, and it was kind of like devastating because it's like all I ever wanted was like my own home. Growing up, we moved so much, so we never really had a home. And so it's like, what do I do? I want my own home. I want to be like a homeowner, and I'm never going to be able to do that. And it's kind of hard on one income doing the work that I do, being a pet sitter, dog walker. And so looking at the tiny homes kind of turned into the RV living. And my grandma, she's like my surrogate grandma, and she had an RV, a 24-foot Class C RV, and I remember I used to pack that thing up for her because I was so good at organizing, and then unpack it for her for every trip. And every time I was in there doing that and cleaning it and tidying it, because she'd put it away in storage for a little bit, and I was like, every time I was in there, I was like, man, I can live in this. This is all I really need. It had everything. And I wish I could have bought it at the time from her. And she always, if she had been able to, she would have probably given it to me or let me rent it or let me have it if she could have, you know? But then it's like, it's a lot to take care of. Where would I park it? Blah, blah, blah. Where I live, there's no RV parks really to stay at and stuff. So, you know, some time passes and I really look into the whole RV life and look at vans and everything. So at the time, I had 3 little dogs, and I just got so fed up with the roommate thing, and I didn't want to move anywhere else because I knew when even just having one small dog is really hard to rent a room somewhere else. I didn't want to be a roommate anymore. I'm not home a lot because I do a lot of pet sits at the clients' homes, and then I work a lot during the day or I go hang out with friends. So I'm like, I don't even really want to pay rent anymore. It's just ridiculous to keep paying rent. And so, you know, I looked a lot into the RV life and thought, I think that's what I want to do. So I researched probably for like 6 months to a year before actually like making the plunge. And it was hard because I wanted to live in my apartment still, save up money to buy an RV. But knowing living in the Bay Area, California, that wasn't going to be feasible for me for what I made at the time. So I moved out of the apartment, gave my roommate and roommates the notice, and said I'm moving out. And I just couldn't take it anymore, being a roommate and living with people and everything and where I was living. And so I moved everything out, threw it into storage, lived out of my little 2006 Mitsubishi Lancer. And so I had 3 dogs at the time, a Cocker Spaniel and 2 Pomeranians. And so we lived in the Mitsubishi Lancer for I want to say about a month, maybe 2 months, something like that. The time went by fast. All my stuff I threw into storage and sold off everything as I could, and to have a little bit of money, a little bit of savings. One of my clients who I'd had for years has a fourplex, and she found out I was living in my car with the dogs, and I said, how else am I going to save for an RV? This is what I want. This is what what I have to do, you know? So she said, I can't stand you being in the car. Why don't you come live at my fourplex? I have an opening there. Leaf blowers. So she has a fourplex. She had an opening, and I said I can't afford that rent. She's like, just stay there until I find a tenant. So I gotta stay there for maybe, I don't know, maybe it was like a month or two. I don't remember really. So we stayed there. I didn't move anything in because I knew at any moment she could find a tenant and rent it out. So I just still kept on working, saving up my money. We didn't really move anything into that place. Then she says, oh, I found a tenant. I was like, okay. So I knew I was going to go back to the car, living in that. And she said, well, actually, the unit downstairs, because it was a fourplex, so the unit downstairs was going to get remodeled. And she said, if you still need a place to stay, why don't you stay down there while I get it remodeled, and you just watch over the place and get all the guys that, you know, kind of watch after all the guys that are coming in, remodeling, letting them in, helping them out on anything they need. So I stayed there for a couple months. And it wasn't like, yay, free rent, because half the time you would go in the kitchen and you're like, what happened in the kitchen? Because everything would be gone, you know, because they were remodeling. They gutted the place. So sometimes it's like you don't have shower, you don't have water, you don't have a toilet. So, but it was okay, you know. So I stayed there with the dogs for a couple months, and actually when we lived at the unit upstairs, one of my dogs had passed away, sadly. Yeah. So it was just me and my two dogs, my Cocker Spaniel and Spike, my Pomeranian. So we lived in the unit downstairs for a couple months. I didn't have caffeine today, so I'm a little not super sharp like I usually am. So it's a little bit roundabout way of me saying this, I guess, and kind of reliving it because it's so many years ago. So she was right about when she's ready to rent out this apartment downstairs. I did have enough money saved up, and I came across not an RV, well, sort of, kind of. It was a bus. It was a 1993 Ford E350 Star Trans, like shuttle bus, like the kind, if you live in the Bay Area, it's like the kind the VTA uses. So it was like 24 feet, and inside it was turned into an RV basically, and had everything except a lot of things were not hooked up. It had solar. It didn't have like a full operating kitchen, kind of, but a lot of the stuff was there. So it was kind of like minimum. And so I bought it for like $4,200, which after a long time, Jeff's like, they so took you on your money for that because you should have got for a lot less. And I didn't know till I went to sell it that the transmission was really bad. And somehow they drove it all the way from like Rohnert Park down here, in like it not having higher gear. So they drove it somehow only on first and second gear, which I didn't realize it because I didn't drive it around anywhere. They drove it to me. I put it on some private property for like 2 years. I drove it around the block a couple times, and like that was it. So anyways, so I lived in that for about maybe a year and a half. And it was good. It was great. I got to have it parked on some private property, a friend of mine, and I always had hoped, oh, someone will come join me in this lifestyle. And you know, the bus would be enough space for us and everything else, but kind of never happened. And having the bus and then having my four-door sedan for work, and then packing and still unpacking everything anytime I had a pet sit, it was kind of starting to get a hassle. The bus was starting to get like, this is a lot to take care of. What was I thinking? So then I got the idea, why don't I get like a bigger work vehicle and a smaller vehicle to live in? So then I came across the van life, basically. And it was starting to get like, every time I saw a van on the street, I was like jealous and envious and like, oh, I can't wait to get there one day. That's what I want. I didn't know what kind of van I wanted. I just knew, and I couldn't afford a Class B RV at the time because they still go for a lot. So, and I wanted it like sooner than later kind of thing. Maybe I don't have the best of patience. I just want, what I want. So I started to save up money, and my Mitsubishi Lancer was having problems like passing smog, and I was getting tickets for it, and it was starting to get really bad. I'm like, I have to get rid of this car like as soon as possible. Like, I don't want to put more money into it because this is not what I want anymore. It was too small for my work vehicle too. I was getting so busy with work. So my mechanic actually knows a used car dealership like across the street from him, and he works on all of those cars. And he's like, and I said, hey, I'm looking for this, and this kind of vehicle basically. So if you see something, let me know. And I was looking more for a van that I could live in, not like a minivan or anything like that, because I thought that would have been too small. So when I was in there one time, he's like, oh, hey, the used dealership across the way actually has a van, a really nice looking one. And at first they said it was like purple. And I was like, purple? I don't know. I'll take a look. So anyways, I looked at it, and it was like pretty nice and clean. Like, it only had 93,000 miles. It's a 2001 Dodge Ram van, V8, the 2500, fuel injected, and it had pretty low miles. It was really well taken care of. It was pretty immaculate. I beat the crap to it now, because it was owned by a private school, so they had to keep maintenance records on it, and so it was always well maintained. So when I bought it, there was maybe a couple things I had to buy, like a new serpentine belt. I think I had to put some new brakes on it and some new tires. Other than that, it was like perfect. And so I think I got it for, I don't know, maybe $3,200, I want to say. Maybe it was like $2,300. I don't know, something along those lines. And so I got the van, and then I sold my... so I looked at the van. I was able to get it. I didn't have all the money saved up because it kind of just happened out of nowhere. So I kind of borrowed money, and then because I had some of that money, so I borrowed the rest. Got the van. It was great to drive it around and not worry about smog and all this other stuff. Everything was taken care of. So sold my Mitsubishi Lancer to my friend, and I sold it to him for cheap. He made me payments. I was like, just get it out of my hair, have a car, here you go. And then I tried to sell the bus, but because it was just, I had some issues. I didn't really know the bus fully well, kind of thing. It was kind of a big vehicle. Everybody come look at it, thought it was cool, they liked it, but then they changed their mind, or they wanted like, oh, I'll give you this for it, I'll give you that for it. I'm like, it's worth like a lot more, especially the engine that it had a 7.3 liter turbo diesel engine, which the engine alone was worth like thousands, So yeah. So anyways, I was stuck still with the bus for a while, a couple years. And then I met Jeff because he was trimming the trees at the fourplex where I had parked the bus, and we got to talking, and he said, hey, yeah, I used to work on diesels. Yeah, I was a mechanic. I can come work on this. I was like, that would be wonderful, because everybody I kept asking didn't know anything about it, never came out to help fix it. So he came out with his friend. They worked on it here and there, fix this, fix that. There was a lot more wrong with it than I had ever realized, and I'm like, shit, now I just gotta sell this for like nothing just to get it out of my hair. One day, finally, I was able to sell it, I think, for $2,000. Guy had to have it towed out of there basically because he had to take it back to Morgan Hill, and there's no way, I don't think I could have made it like on first and second gear. So he had it towed. That was nice to have it out of my hair. So it's been 3.5 years I've had my van, and then when Jeff and I have been together a little over 2 years, just a little over 2 years. And in the beginning, he used to come hang out with me in my van all the time because it was like awkward to go to his dad's house because he lived with his dad because he took care of his dad because his dad's like really old and has Alzheimer's and all this other stuff. So it wasn't like the best situation for me to be going over there all the time with his dad kind of being ill, and it was always just him and the dad all the time. So they weren't used to like visitors and things like that. So anyways, as time progressed, I would hang out with Jeff at his dad's house, and he had to spend a lot of time taking care of his dad. So then I hung out there more and more and more. We started seeing our relationship getting more and more serious. There was a chance for us to live in a house, move out of his dad's house. And we rented that house from his cousin. And that became a bad situation because she kind of changed what the rental agreement was going to be. It was really hard on Jeff, all the having to get out there, work and hustle and pay bills. It was a lot of house for us to take care of. We were working all the time. It was just not like good times, you know. It was nice having a home and a house, but it was a house, not a home. So we had the chance to move back to Jeff's dad's house. We moved back to his dad's house, but his sister wanted to sell the house. Long story short, I'm not going to get into a lot of drama about it. So we had to move out again, and in a short amount of time. So my game plan was always to move back to the van because I miss that lifestyle. I miss the simplicity. It's just me. I just like van life. You know, there's so many perks about it. I'll probably do a video about it, but to me, it's just like for me. So we moved back to the van. So now I have 3 dogs and Jeff. And so it's been a little over 2 months. And I think everything kind of slid back into place. I think we got into a groove decently quick, actually. I think because the van that I have had always been my work vehicle, too. So I think we were in it like almost every day anyways. The dogs were already used to us coming with us for the work days. We already were used to taking like a road trip or going somewhere in the van. So it wasn't like going from complete house life then to the van. It's like the van was almost always with us anyways. So, but then it's like, how do you incorporate like another person? What is this going to be like? Because I never did that before. And so it's kind of been a better than I had expected adjustment. It was a little hard on Jeff in the beginning. He had spent time with me in the van when we first got together in the beginning, and we had hung out in the van and stuff. But when you have to do it day in, day out all the time, or when you got to go to the bathroom, or when you want to go take a shower, or when you just want to sprawl out, or have this or have that, it gets hard and wearing on a person. Me, I'm used to living with basics and prefer it that way. So, and then was like, okay, how are the dogs going to adjust to day in, day out with it? Spike adjusts, my Pomeranian adjusts like no problem to anything. He's go anywhere, do anything kind of dog. Gavin had already lived in the van for me for, I don't know, maybe a year, maybe 8 months when I first got him. So when I first got him, this was what he knew as his home, was the van. So for him, he was fine with it. But I was like, oh, now I have Kaylee, our Husky Wolf Malamute mix. And I was like, I think it's going to be the hardest on her because she's just a big girl. She needs like sprawl out. She needs like a yard to run around in. So I just thought, oh, I think it's going to be the hardest on her. And it's actually turned out pretty good because it's like I'm with her all the time. Like her crate is right behind my seat when I drive. So she's pretty much like always an arm shot of us. And I feel like she's been better behaved, I think, because we're always constantly with her, like interacting and talking and getting in and out of the van and going to different places to walk. And she loves adventure. She loves to sit in her crate and she'll look out the windows, you know, or she'll sit on the seats or whatever, and she'll like look and watch. And so for her, it's almost like it turned out pretty good. I was most worried about her because she's like the youngest, and she's loud. She's like the loudest dog I've ever had. And I'm like, that's not going to go down being stealth? Never mind. Whatever. Dogs bark. Whatever. So she barks and she talks. I mean, not all the time. She's either real quiet or real loud. And she has certain times of the day where she can get loud and rowdy and stuff. Other than that, she's pretty quiet, you know. Oddly, she's not talked this whole time I've been doing a video. Thank God. Like, isn't she usually always like, give me attention right now. You have your attention on doing a video. It's me, mom. Where's my walk? You know, typically that's what she's doing, right? Thankfully, she's been quiet during this video. She's just been napping. And we didn't have our morning walk yet. I'm proud of her. And I feel like she's grown up and matured like the most fastest while we've been in the van. Maybe it's just the age that she is now. And maybe because she got spayed before we moved into the van. So maybe everything's like calmed down now hormonally and things like that. So, also, so when we kind of lost our 2 places to live in this last year, everyone thought we were just going to go find another apartment. I'm like, I just really don't want to pay rent. I don't want to work to pay rent. It's just stupid. I like to have my freedom. I like to kind of not have rules and people saying, and rent raising. And then I have 3 dogs. And yes, one of them technically is my service dog and one's my retired service dog. But still, it's a hassle to live somewhere with like 3 dogs. And I'm like, I'd rather live next to the person with the 3 dogs than the 1 or 2 kids, you know. But it's, and pet rents and living in the Bay Area is like ridiculous. And I only stay here because I have work here and clients, and I was born and raised here, so this is what I know. This is what I'm used to. So what our future is, I guess, is to still, stay in the van, and Jeff will figure out if we continue doing this or if he wants to rent a room somewhere or what he decides he kind of wants to do. Me, in some ways, I feel like I don't really have any other options but to live van life. It just fits into my work schedule, and financially, it's nice not to have to work so much. Like, you can be more flexible with your work because it doesn't cost as much as if like you're having to pay rent and utilities and all that stuff. You could kind of enjoy your day a bit more, I feel like, too. It's like a lot less for me to take care of also. That's why I also like van life, because it's like there's just less to take care of for the day in and the day out. Some things are harder because, like, when you want to shower, you got to go to the gym, or I wait till I have a pet sit, or do both, whatever. Whereas at home, you're like, oh, I want to shower right now. You'll go like 10, 15 feet and go take a shower, you know? So some things is a little more of a hassle, but I'm like, still easier than if we lived out in the wilderness, you know, on nothing. So I'm not complaining, you know. Thank God we have these modern conveniences of laundromats, you know, and gyms to shower at, versus living totally off grid like Neanderthals, right? So yeah, I don't know if, you know, eventually we get a bigger van, Jeff gets his own van. We don't really quite know yet. I know maybe I get a high top van, maybe I go down to something smaller in the future, like a Toyota 4Runner like I really want. But, you know, I don't know. Maybe I get a high top van, like one of those Dodge ProMasters. It'll be interesting to see. Right now, I kind of enjoy my van, you know, and with Kaylee, my husky pup, still being young, you know, it's kind of like financially and things like that. It's just kind of like, there's something wrong with my van. It runs great. Everything's good. I mean, it's still got a ton of life left into it. So why not just stick with it for now, you know? So that's, I guess, a little bit of a roundabout, long-winded story of how I got to where I am today and living the van life with 2 people and 3 dogs. And I bet you there's those people out there that are like, I am so drunk now because every time she said van life, I took a shot. Yeah, probably, right? So, thank you guys for your time and for watching. And yeah, obviously, there's comments. I do read them. So if you guys wanted to write anything, I just lag on replying, but I always do read them. So if there's anything you guys have to add or questions or anything else, you're always free to comment. And if you're thinking about doing the van life thing, do it. Like, don't make excuses. Don't say, because I have this, because of that. It's probably one of the easier moves. It's hard the first month or 2, I would say, but it's actually not that hard. It's just like living in your car, but better. I think the only 2 hard things about it is if your vehicle breaks down and you don't have the money, which is pretty rare if you get a decently good vehicle, or finding a place to park at night. Sometimes that can be a hassle. And not having a shower at your disposal at all times. Other than that, everything else is pretty easy, I would say. It's not really much different than living in a house. You pretty much end up having the same routines. Gotta go to laundromat, do laundry. Gotta pick up your mail from the P.O. box, which I did that when I had an apartment. You have to get out and walk your dogs. You're going to do that anyways. You have to go hike them or go to the park with them. Same thing. You go to the store. You go buy food. Pretty much your routine doesn't change that much. There's a couple things that maybe take a little extra time, depending on how your van is set up, or RV, whatever you're living in. Other than that, it's really people over stressed about it more than it needs to be. Like they say, keep it simple. So it's really all the questions that I get, in my personal life. It's really funny to hear these questions, but to me, I'm I don't know. I find it easier to live this way than I did in a house, or even an apartment. It's so much to do all the time. It's just all the time you turn around. Oh, now I have to do this. Now I have to do that. Oh, now this costs money. Now that costs money. And you just become such a consumerist. That's a word. All right. I'm probably rambling on, you guys. I probably should stop myself right now before I go on and on and on, right? So thank you guys again for watching this talking head, as someone once said in one of my videos. Oh, it's a talking head again. But yeah, get out there, go live your life, you guys. Go have fun. It's beautiful weather, at least where I am. So take care, everyone, and good luck out there.